What's up, everybody? Once again, we are here. This is Quentin Lee for On Cue Productions. I hope and pray that you're being safe out there and that you're spending time with your family, your friends, and your loved ones. This is episode 2 of the series entitled In the Presence of Jesus. Last week, we were in Mark chapter 4, and today, for episode 2, we are still in Mark chapter 4, but we're going to pick up at verse 35 through 41. That's Mark 4th chapter, 35 through the 41st verse. And the same day, when the even was come, he saith unto them, Let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship. And there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awake him, and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose, and rebuked the wind, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? And they feared exceedingly, and said to one another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? Amen. We're coming from Mark chapter 4, verses 35 through 41, and we're going to be talking from a subject entitled Strange Storms. Strange Storms. Now, let's get into it. If you were with us last week during episode 1, you know that that's when Jesus was talking to the multitude on the sea and his disciples about the parable of the sower and the seed. After he finishes discussing this and telling the multitude about the parable, he then decides to go across the Sea of Galilee. So on the same day that he finishes telling the parable of the sower and the seed, later that evening, he tells his boys, look, let's go to the other side. Let's set sail and go to the other side of the Sea of Galilee. As they were sailing, out of nowhere appears this great storm that seemed to bring heavy wind and heavy rains, and the Bible says that the waves beat against the boat so bad that now the boat was taking on water, and the waves were coming up over the boat, threatening to sink the ship. Sometimes in our life, when we are sailing along pretty good and we think we're doing pretty good, all of a sudden storms can arise in our life, and sometimes the storms can be so bad it seems as if the storm that comes into your life is going to just overtake you and just come in your boat and just sink or capsize your boat, because the storm is more, or it seems more, than you can handle. Obviously, they weren't expecting a storm to arise, because you have to understand that these guys were seasoned fishermen. They were seasoned sailors, so they knew when and how to sail. So if they would have seen any presence of a storm, they would have held out for the next day to sail. But upon Jesus' word, they sail out on the sea to go across the Sea of Galilee. That's when this storm arises and threatens to capsize the boat and just destroy them and literally try to kill them, either by drowning or through the storm. So I can just picture the disciples of Jesus panicking on the top of the boat, trying to throw what they could overboard, or try to take some buckets, if they had some wooden buckets, to lighten the load and maybe toss some of the water out of the boat. It was just pure panic. It was a frenzy trying to figure out how we're going to save ourselves from dying. Now, while all of this chaos is happening on the top of the ship, in the belly of the ship, Jesus is fast asleep, sleeping on a pillow. Now, isn't it ironic that as his boys are on the top of the ship, panicking, screaming, throwing things overboard, fearing for their lives, trying to figure out, is Jesus coming up? Where is he? Does he even know what's going on? Jesus is in the bottom of the boat, asleep. Now, oftentimes when we are doing a great work and we are pushing ourselves beyond our limit and we're trying to do the purpose that we're meant to do and we're called to do, and we have to work and take care of family and fight off storms and fight off the enemy and fight off the people who are talking about us and fight off these energies that negatively affect us, you can become worn down and you need a break. Everybody, I don't care how strong you are, everybody needs a break. And when you've been working, trying to fulfill your call, trying to fulfill your purpose, you can get drained when you're trying to take care of your family, take care of your responsibilities, take care of the things that you're responsible for. Try to figure out what it is God has for your life and try to fulfill that in your life, to please God, to please yourself, to try to please your family. You can get drained out and you need a break. Now, we know that Jesus had just finished preaching and teaching on the sea, on the shore. He needed a break. As do most of us, we need a break. And we don't even realize how much we need a break sometimes, because sometimes we can push ourselves beyond the limit, beyond our breaking point. But I want to share with you, even though we reach our breaking point, even though we can get to the point in our lives where we feel like we are no longer in control of our lives, a storm may come and it seems like the storm that has come to our lives is going to capsize our boat, and we just do not have the strength to fight this storm off. Because listen, this was a strange storm, and I want to warn you, you need to watch out for strange storms. You can be going along just fine. You can be going along just well. You can be resting after working hard, after taking care of your responsibilities, just needing a break. Then all of a sudden, here comes a strange storm. Watch out for strange storms. And here is Jesus in the bottom of the boat, sleeping. Probably one of the few times that he could actually close his eyes and take a rest, to close his eyes and go to sleep. He finally had a chance to rest. And now he is in the bottom of the ship, fast asleep on a pillow. Now, I want to try to share something with you. I'm going to break something down. The storm is happening all around the ship. The disciples are on the top of the ship, panicking, trying to get to their destination, trying to get to the other side of the sea. Jesus, however, is in the bottom of the boat, is inside the boat, asleep. Jesus is not panicking. Jesus is not worried. Jesus is safe. Jesus is asleep. Now, if you have Jesus in your heart, if you have Jesus resting on the inside of you, why do you panic so? Why, if we have Jesus living on the inside of us, why do we stress out so much? Why do we panic and have nervous breakdowns and worry about things if we have Jesus living inside of us? Because I can assure you, I can assure you, Jesus is not panicking. Whether Jesus is living inside you or not, he is not panicking. So if Jesus is living inside of us, why are we afraid to take the next step? Why are we afraid to get in the boat and go across the sea? Why are we afraid to do what it is that God has called us to do? Why are we afraid to stand up against the negativity in our lives, in our families, in our societies, in our communities, in our nations? Why are we afraid? Why do we fear? If Jesus is living on the inside of us. So amongst all of this chaos happening, somebody says, we got to get down there to Jesus. And they make their way, they rush down to Jesus, and they wake him up and they say, Jesus, Master, do you even care that we're going to perish? Do you not know what's going on outside in the top of the boat? How are you still asleep, Jesus? Do you not see what's happening? Do you not hear or feel the waves beating the boat? How are you staying asleep when the boat is rocking the way it is? That last wave, it almost turned us over. How do you not notice? Do you even care? If we are honest with ourselves, at one point or another in our lives, all of us have been in strange storms. All of us have questioned, what am I doing here? How did I get here? Because the disciples were probably wondering the same thing. When we left, there was no sign of a storm. And then all of a sudden, we're about to die. There have been times in our life where we've been going all along real smooth, working, doing great, and you finally get a break to rest, and then a strange storm comes. And you're wondering, how did I get here? How did I get to this place? What happened? When I started off, I had no signs of trouble on the horizon. And then all of a sudden, this storm, this strange storm comes about. And there have been times to where we have asked God, do you see what's going on around me? Are you aware of how they're talking about me? Are you aware of how they're trying to do me when I'm not looking? Are you aware of how they are trying to interrupt my life and how they're trying to destroy me? Don't you see that everything around me seems to be falling apart? Do you even care? Are you there, God? Jesus, do you love me? Do you hear me? At some point, we have all asked some type of question like that, whether or not Jesus was actually listening, whether or not he was even concerned about the turmoil that was happening in our lives. We have all been there, and that's okay. Because I want to assure you, he's never left us. And while we were panicking on the outside, he never panics. And if he's living in us, we have to understand we have no need to panic. I don't care how bad the storm is. So let's talk about that storm. This was a strange storm. I don't know about you, but you haven't been going along real good, and then all of a sudden things get bad. And you wonder, what is going on? You need to watch out for strange storms. But listen, we're making our way through Mark. And we're going to see later on in Mark that there's a reason that this storm comes up. Oftentimes, when you are on the verge of something great, when you are on the verge of doing something mighty and powerful, the enemy has to try to intervene because he can see further along down the road than you can. He can't see as much as God sees, but he can see more and he knows more than we know. Side note, the enemy knows you probably more than you know you. That's how he's able to trip us up, because he knows what we like He knows what we're afraid of. He knows when we're on the verge of greatness, of our destiny. So when storms come into your life, instead of looking at the storm and saying, my God, woe is me, look at the storm and say, thank you, Jesus, because it must mean that I am on the verge of doing something great. Storms that come into your life, they serve purposes. They serve to strengthen you, to build character, to show you that you're stronger than you actually think you are, and to prepare you for the road ahead. Sometimes they also come to try to stop you, and defeat you and make you get depressed or make you want to give up, because the enemy knows that you're close to your breakthrough. This strange storm that you may be going through in your life is on the verge of you doing something great. Don't give up in this storm. Push through this storm, because this storm may be the very storm, the very breakthrough you need to get to the other side, to do what it is that God has called you to do. So let's get back to it. They're on the boat. It's storming. It's going crazy outside. Jesus is in the bottom of the boat, asleep. They get to the bottom of the boat. They wake Jesus up and they ask him, do you even care? Do you even know what's going on, Lord? He then comes up to the top of the ship. Now, let's look at this a little bit more intimately. When you read the text, it almost reads as if Jesus is a little bit upset, because I don't know about you, but I hate to be awakened out of my sleep. I want to sleep as long as I can. I love to sleep, and I know some other people out there like that. You hate to be awakened out of your sleep, especially if you don't get to sleep that much. When you finally do get to rest, you want to rest. You want to break. And to have somebody come and upset that rest, upset that silence, and break your sleep pattern, you are not a happy camper. So when you read the scriptures, it almost reads as if Jesus, his humanity kind of comes out a little bit, and he's a little upset. So he comes to the top of the boat, and he know that he had just finished doing some work, and when he gets to the other side of the shore, his work is going to have to continue. This is the little break that he gets to get in between working, and they broke his sleep. So he comes to the top, he rebukes the wind, and he says to the waves, peace, be still. We have to understand that God, Jesus, is living inside of us. And if he's not panicking, then we shouldn't panic. But the reason that we do panic is because we have allowed Satan to get our eyes off of Jesus. We're looking at everything else around us, how bad it is. I don't have any money. I don't have anybody in my life. I don't have a job. I don't have a car. I don't have any friends. And he wants us to get all of these things, all of these negative things in our forefront. So that's what we put our focus on. And we totally forget the fact that we have Jesus living on the inside of us. We totally forget and lose sight of the one who walks with us every day, who wakes us up in the morning, who starts us on our way, who gives us a reasonable portion of health and strength and puts us in our right mindset. We're so focused on the negative things in our life. We're so focused on the storm that we have lost sight of the one who's going to take us through the storm. And if I need to remind you, if a storm comes up on your horizon, just look back over your life at the last storm you went through and how God brought you through that. And if he brought you through that one, guess what? He has the power to bring you through the next one. He then says to his disciples, why in the world are you so afraid? And what are you afraid of? Listen, we understand that the wind and the waves were beating against the boat, and it almost seemed to capsize the boat and turn the boat over. And even if we were in that situation, we might have acted the same way that the disciples acted. But listen, at this point in Jesus' story, it's not over yet. So check this out. There's no storm. There's no devil in hell that was going to capsize the boat that Jesus was asleep on. There was no wind. There was no wave strong enough to defeat the boat, to battle the boat that Jesus Christ himself was asleep on. This is Jesus on the ship. I don't care what was happening outside of the ship. Jesus is on the ship. And I don't care if Jesus was awake or asleep. Nothing was going to happen because Jesus' story was not done. And guess what? Whatever God promised you to do, whatever he set out for you to do, no devil in hell can prevent you or stop you from doing what it is God has called you to do. But this is how the enemy works. He knows that Jesus is powerful. He knows that you are powerful. And it probably seemed like, the enemy saying, look, he's asleep. He's asleep in the bottom of the boat. His eyes is finally closed. Let's attack him now. Because when he's awake, we have no chance. So the only chance we have is when he closes his eyes. So now is the time to attack. But trust me, there was nothing that was going to happen to that boat or those disciples while Jesus was on the boat. And we, if we believe, are the same way. If Jesus is living on the inside of us, like he asked his disciples, I'm now asking you, and I'm asking myself, why are we so afraid? Why are we afraid of the storms? Why are we afraid of the bad times? Why are we afraid of going through difficult, tough times if Jesus lives on the inside of us? Why? He then asked them, why do you not have any faith? You've been walking with me all this time, and now all of a sudden, a strange storm comes and you lose faith. Don't you know that if I'm on the ship, nothing can happen unless I say it happened? How soon we forget what Jesus has done for us. And how dare we lose faith when he has walked with us literally all this time. He has been with us every step of the way. How dare we lose faith in Christ? Now, we may lose faith in ourselves, but for God's sake, don't lose faith in Jesus Christ. He is the one that will always be there. If your family leaves you, if your friends leave you, if your spouse leaves you, if your loved ones leave you, if your children leave you, he will always be there. Why have we lost faith? I'm telling you, it is because we have allowed the things on the outside to get on the inside of us. And now we can't even focus on God. We can't even focus on what it is we need to do because we're too focused on the storm and not the one that's going to take us through the storm. Because we get confused when strange storms come because it seems like this shouldn't be happening now. I shouldn't be going through a storm now. Everything was good. I shouldn't be going through a storm right now. Now notice, the enemy attacks Jesus when he is asleep. The enemy wants to get you and attack you when you are vulnerable. He chooses The weak points in your life, the times when you are weak, the times when you are down, that's when he chooses to attack. The times when you are resting and you let your guard down, that's when the enemy likes to attack when you are vulnerable. He's very cunning. He doesn't want to attack when you have your full guard up. He wants to attack you when you're tired. He wants to attack you when you're asleep. He wants to attack you when you're weak. He wants to really attack you when something else is going on in your life. He wants to get you when you are vulnerable, because that's when he stands the better chance. If he attacks you when you're tired, maybe you won't even fight. If he sends a strange storm when you are weak, maybe you'll give up. So he sends these storms and he tries to attack you when you are vulnerable. But you have to watch out for strange storms, because when you are doing a great work, when you're doing mighty work, when you are trying to fulfill your purpose, when you're trying to fulfill your call and your destiny, whatever that may be, strange storms will appear. Strange storms can come in the form of anything. It can come in the form of people. It can come in the form of places. It can come in the form of losing things all of a sudden. So you have to watch out for strange storms, but take courage, because it is a sign that you are going to do something greater. It is a sign that you are doing the work you are called to do. If you're going through a storm right now in your life, I want you to be encouraged. I want you to have faith, because Jesus Christ is on the boat. And if he's not on your boat, put Jesus Christ in your boat. Put Jesus Christ in your heart. And I guarantee you, your ship will not sink with Jesus on your boat. Watch out for strange storms. But it doesn't matter what type of storm comes your way, because as long as Jesus is in your heart, as long as Jesus is in your boat, no devil in hell, no storm, no matter how strange it may be, can topple your ship. And you will get through this storm, and you will get to the other side to continue your mighty work. I hope and pray that this message has blessed you and your family. Share this message. Let someone know about strange storms, and let them know that they can be encouraged and have faith that if they have Jesus on their boat, they will be okay. This is Quentin Lee from On Cue Productions. I hope and pray that you are being safe. Stay tuned. From us here at On Cue Productions, we love you. God bless you, and we will see you soon.